Hey, since we're talking about ATM cards, credit cards, and money, I thought I would take a moment to answer two of the most commonly asked questions that I get while traveling. One of which is, how much does it cost for me to travel the way I do? I've traveled over 75 cities this year and over 26, 27 countries. And the second question is, how do I support myself? So the first question, how much does it cost? Well, what I do is I create spreadsheets so that I can track my expenses, and I'll show you, just like last month for the month of September, how much it cost. Here is my spreadsheet for the month, and you can see over here that I have a grand total for the month of September, $803. So I budget for my month about $30 a day, $1,000 a month. That's just an estimate. It's sort of the projected goal that I have for how much money I try to spend, that or less. So last month, September, here in the Balkans, it's a little bit cheaper. Previous months, you can look back in like June, which was $962, or July, $1,036, and $759 for August. So you can see that I'm coming in under $1,000 a month, which is pretty good, and I have a breakdown here of how much I'm spending. Now, these are typical costs that you would have traveling. I'm not including, like, if I buy a pair of shoes, or if I buy a hat, or a GoPro camera. These are costs for lodging here, for my breakfast, my lunch, my dinner, transportation, going in buses, trains, anything like that, taxis. Tourist fees for entering in museums, entering in castles, fortress, things like that. Tours that I go on, guided tours, as well as any entertainment. If I go out to see a movie, go out to see a theatrical play, something like that. And then I have a category for other. So you can see over here under my notes, I'll put down train to Skopje, train to Macedonia, train to Cluj. So you can see all of these costs break down, and if you go back and look at my blogs, all these numbers pretty much line up. I round everything off. I don't worry about 25 cents or 50 cents or anything like that. So these numbers are usually rounded up to the next dollar. So if it's like $9.76, I round it up to $10, and I just convert everything from the local currency into dollars for the purposes here. So you can see my lodgings typically are $13 to $15. There's 2 nights where I stayed where it was $20, and so that was in Zagreb apparently. So you can see basically how my expenses break down. Sometimes there's free breakfast included with the hostels, which you see these blanks here, or I skip breakfast. You can see my lunch costs. Some days it was just $2. Go have a kebab sandwich, or go to the local market and buy a pre-made sandwich or something like that. So dinners typically are a little bit higher. You can see the transportation costs. That's buses or trains going city to city. So basically there you have it. I track my expenses, and that's my biggest point of advice, or piece of advice that I can give, is to create a spreadsheet like this so you can track your expenses. It will drastically really help you keep your costs under control and make long-term travel possible like I do. So the second question is, how do I earn money while traveling? I started traveling 2010, 2011, right around there, about 5 years ago. And for the first few years, I was digital nomad. I've owned a graphic design company since 1991, so I've had it for about 25 years, and I've had clients for that entire period of time. I've had over 200 clients, completed over 7,000 projects. So when I started traveling, I had a bunch of clients that I could do design work for remotely and communicate with them through Skype, email, and they would send me projects. I had some retainer contracts, so I have monthly income from the retainers. So my source of income for the first few years was from graphic design. However, in 2013, I went back to the United States, to Colorado, and I put my house on the market. I took all of my furniture and belongings and things like that. I sold them on Craigslist, sold them in garage sales, I sold 2 cars, I sold hot tubs, I sold a motorcycle, I sold everything I owned in the United States down to 2 small boxes of photo albums and things like that that my sister is storing at her place. So pretty much I liquidated that, so that today I have a 44-liter backpack, and that's pretty much my belongings that I travel around with. So in 2013, when I sold everything, I took all the cash from that and I traveled down to Florida. Why Florida? Because I read an article on AOL Real Estate called the 20 Best Cities in America to Buy Investment Rental Properties. And 8 out of those 20 were in Central Florida, between Orlando and Tampa, around that area. So I went down to Florida and I bought 2 small houses there. And then later I went back in 2014 again and spent about 3 or 4 months. I bought a 3rd property. So now I have 3 small rental houses in Florida, and I have people paying me rent anywhere from $850 to $950 a month is coming in from these rental properties. So I paid cash for all of the properties. I don't have mortgages to pay on any of the properties. The money comes in. I have a management company that works with me remotely, and they manage the properties, find tenants, do the repairs, collect the rent, and deposit in my bank account. So as of last year, I'm mostly retired, being that I don't really need to work, and I have a few select clients that I just love working with, and so I continue to work with them, and I have monthly retainer contracts to do things with them. So that's basically it. That's how I make my money, that's how I support myself, and that's how much I spend each month as I'm traveling throughout Europe or even South America. The costs are very similar, sometimes a little lower, sometimes a little higher, depending on where you're at.
That's all I have for this episode. I hope you enjoyed learning about how I earn my income and what my expenses are for full-time travel. Remember, savor the moment, be happy, and pursue your passions. See you next episode.